When we built the house, we knew that it was going to be our family home, and we didn't know for how long, and as we've lived in it, we've evolved with it.
We didn't have kids when we built it.
But we knew we wanted them, so we had them in the back of our mind.
Yeah.
You can't get away from each other. There's nowhere to go. We don't even have a door, really. Like, the bathroom has a door, but you don't want to hang out in there. I mean, my children wouldn't let me anyways. Above our living room is our hammock loft. It kind of starts to overflow because we have a lot of stuff, but that's just part of living tiny. My favorite feature of the tiny house, which was a non-negotiable when we decided to go tiny, was to make sure we had Hi, I'm Ashley.
I'm Chad.
And we are That Hippie Family. This is our tiny house.
Everywhere that we have lived or wanted to live, it's really expensive to live there. So we've always kind of not been able to like afford a bigger place. We've always like literally lived in like the tiny little studio suite or whatever. And the year that we built our house, we lived in a fifth wheel.
At that point in our life, we wanted to be homeowners so bad, and we had saved a down payment for our house. And when we went to the bank, they said we couldn't apply to be pre-approved for a mortgage because we were self-employed. And so we had this down payment that we couldn't do anything with. At that time, I had been watching a lot of the tiny house shows, and I asked Chad if he thought he could build something like that, and he said that he could. So we just decided to give it a go. I designed the inside basically because I was the one who watched every single tiny house video on the internet. I watched them all. And I took my favorite bits of all of them and I just drew it on a piece of paper. We didn't use any computer programs or anything. We did get all of our windows first because we really wanted to source everything secondhand. So once we had our windows, we kind of built the walls around the windows, and then the sink in the kitchen, like everything had to kind of go wherever it would fit.
We just got a trailer and I don't know, I just started building it. I couldn't focus on the whole thing. I just was like, okay, how do I frame these walls properly to like withstand being able to move and like all that stuff, right? So it was like, it's built way above like a house standard because it's like bolted through the trailer and stuff like that. It was challenged like day by day, but it wasn't impossible.
Yeah. This is our living room, we call it, our living space. We put a couch in here after we had kids because we found our use of the space really changed once having children. This couch actually does pull out into a bed if somebody wanted to come and stay. But we have a projector here that we can pull down and we let the kids watch TV sometimes. In our kitchen, we have my favorite new thing that I got for our tiny house, my little retro oven. It's just a RV stove and oven with 3 burners. It works really well. I can bake and I can cook everything for our family of 4 right here. We try to use as many secondhand materials as possible. We have been living in the tiny house now for 5 years, so some things have changed and been replaced over time. But basically, this is kind of how it always started. If you go down the kitchen, this is where we keep all of our dishes. And this whole area right here is new. I just put this hutch in because I really wanted to elongate the kitchen counter and have more space up here. This space has really changed over time living in the tiny house. Before kids at all, this is actually a second door to get outside, but we never used it. Then it became a baby change station, which we barely ever used. And now it's an extension of the kitchen with the hutch and all of our storage space. We knew that you need a lot of storage in a tiny house, so we used our stairs for our pantry, and we keep a lot of like our food on this side and some extra kind of like dishware and things in here, but these drawers are nice and deep. There is a ton of storage in these stairs. I did want a full-length closet so I could put my mop and my broom and my vacuum in there. Above the kitchen area here, this is kind of like this divider for our sleeping loft. We have some storage where we store all of our records, some more of my books. That was another non-negotiable when we moved into the tiny house. I needed somewhere to put all my books. I wasn't getting rid of any. So Chad has his records and I have my books up there. We have a regular sized fridge. We tried to go with what was being most energy efficient. So one of these older fridges where the freezer on top is actually better for energy usage versus the freezers that pull out on the bottom. It's average home size, which is really nice because we need as much storage for food as possible. Before we head into the bathroom, we just have a little pocket door right here to separate the bathroom space from the rest of the house. And then into the bathroom, we have my closet and Chad's closet. It kind of starts to overflow because we have a lot of stuff, but that's just part of living tiny. My favorite feature of the tiny house, which was a non-negotiable when we decided to go tiny, was to make sure we had a bathtub. And so I do have a regular home-sized bathtub in my tiny house for myself and my children. I actually gave birth in this bathtub. And then we have our composting toilet, which is another favorite in the house. This is the Throne composting toilet. We had a different one when we first started, but we decided to change it because our original composting toilet did not have a very good urine diverter. And I will tell you, if you're going with a composting toilet, you need a very good urine diverter. So this one, Chad built the base himself, and then we have a fan, an exhaust fan that goes under the house, and the urine diverter, and a 5-gallon pail in the back. And I like this little box that we kind of designed it so it looks like a normal toilet, but inside the box is our peat moss and wood shavings to cover our waste in the back. And then we do have our washer dryer combo. Most tiny houses do have. I end up hanging a lot of laundry to dry because I don't find that it's that efficient in drying. It just takes so long. So I hang a lot of laundry in here and in the mudroom and then outside in the summertime. When we built the house, we knew that it was going to be our family home, and we didn't know for how long, and we still don't know for how long we will be here. Having 2 kids in this space is tight, but that is probably my favorite thing about our tiny house is that we didn't have this like permanent long-term view of how it had to be. We just kind of built somewhere for us to live, and as we've lived in it, we've evolved with it, and it's changed with us and grown with us so much.
Yeah. We didn't have kids when we built it.
But we knew we wanted them, so we had them in the back of our mind.
Yeah.
My son is 4 years old, my daughter is almost 2. And I just want to soak in this time with them while they're little, while we can, because they're not going to want to hang out with us forever.
No. And they can't run away from us. Like, no matter where they are, you can like hear them, you know what they're doing.
Eyes
so
on
it's like,
always.
It's pretty convenient.
Having kids in a tiny house is challenging. If we're going to live in a space like this that's tiny, we needed to make sure that our yard was big enough and had whatever the kids would want to enjoy being out there as much as possible. When people ask me what it's like to have kids in here, I always say we don't know any different. We never had kids before we lived tiny, so I don't know what it's like to have more space with kids, and our kids were born here, literally born in this house. They don't know any different either. So for now, we are all sleeping in our sleeping loft. There are 4 of us that sleep up here. This is where we sleep upstairs. We ended up extending our sleeping loft 14 inches after my daughter was born so that we had more space to get 2 crib-sized mattresses in here. So my son has his own bed, my daughter has her own bed, and my husband and I have our own bed. Mind you, the children often sleep in our bed as well, but everybody does have their own space up here. I do have a skylight up here, but we have tinfoil covering it right now because it does get quite warm in our sleeping loft. Above our living room is our hammock loft. We had the hammock loft as an idea before we even had kids. We thought we would turn the hammock loft into like a second bedroom. We still might one day. Right now we usually use this space just as a hangout place. We can put my son up here if he wants some space for my daughter. He can watch a movie, he can read a book. It's just full of all of our pillows and blankets, and it's just really cozy to hang out. This record player is the only record player that we could find that is actually vertical to save space. It would take up too much space for us to have one that laid flat on a shelf, so we really like this unique looking one that can sit on the wall. We do heat our house with propane. This is what I call our furnace, but it's just basically a propane heater. It was kind of an afterthought when we did install it, so it's a little bit higher than ideally what you would want it. You'd want it a little bit lower, but it works really well to heat the house. Once we installed the wood stove, we do use the wood stove more. It's better because it's a dry heat. Propane heat is quite moist in the air, and that can sometimes create too much condensation along the walls. When we decided to create an additional space onto our house, I really felt like the mudroom was going to be important because we have so much outdoor gear. We like to spend a lot of time outside. So all of our sweaters, jackets, shoes, winter coats, all of the stuff that comes with family living in a tiny house is stored in this space. Also, where we live on Vancouver Island, it does get very wet and rainy here. So this is a space we can hang things to dry in the wet season. Our dog can dry here when he's soaking wet, so he doesn't have to bring all the mess inside the tiny house. We did put the wood stove in this room to make sure that it dried everything really efficiently, and a bonus, it actually keeps the house quite warm and dry as well.
So our tiny house is 28 feet long, 8.5 feet wide, and just under 13.5 feet tall. This is our decent outside living space. We've got a pretty big deck. I built it so that it could all be kind of taken apart and moved. We used to have it set up completely different in a different orientation. It can also just be like taken apart and put into a pickup truck. We spend a lot of time in our yard playing with the kids and all that kind of stuff. So we pretty much do everything here. So the yard is primarily for the children. Me and my son, we built his play fort there and turned it into kind of like a bit of a pirate ship. He likes playing pirates and stuff like that, so that's really fun. Come up on the deck here. We got a couple little vegetable plants here. It's nothing too spectacular, but yeah, I've got a smoker, barbecue, that kind of stuff. Me and my son, we go fishing on the ocean lots and catch a lot of salmon, so yeah, we smoke a lot of fish and stuff like that. Pretty much the whole house, we tried to use as much recycled materials, and our deck and all of that kind of stuff was all basically either call lumber from the lumber store at like 75% off, or from construction sites. I know I work in construction, so I'm able to bring lots of building materials home, and so I just basically recycle all the stuff that doesn't really get used in building something new. I'm able to build my own stuff out of it. It works perfect, but it's not always the prettiest lumber. So this is the other part of our backyard space. This is kind of our outdoor shower. We've got a little EcoTemp instant hot water heater, and then just pretty basic, but just a nice covered space where you can have a good shower. So this is the backyard, I guess, area. And this is mostly my space. We have our chicken coop over here with 8 nice little chickens in there. This is our chicken coop. Me and my son built this. It was our landlord's old chicken coop, and we just kind of refurbished it and made it a little bit better. It's still a little bit rough around the edges, but I mean, it serves the purpose. It keeps the predators out and gives us farm fresh eggs, which is awesome.
My favorite part about living tiny is the connection. You can't get away from each other.
Yeah.
So you can't argue. There's nowhere to go. We don't even have a door, really. Like, the bathroom has a door, but you don't want to hang out in there. I mean, my children wouldn't let me anyways. I'm trying to teach our kids that as well. They obviously have conflict constantly. So I'm trying to teach them how to work through that, because we're stuck together, all 4 of us in this little space. It does get tight at times, which means that my son is always at my daughter. She's in my personal space. We don't have personal space in this house, sorry. So that's kind of starting to become a challenge as the kids get older. I do think that we have desire to move out of the tiny house and give our children more space. We'll never live in a big house. It'll always be a small house. But I think that as the children grow, we will need to give them personal space.
I guess the biggest piece of advice that I would give somebody trying to build a tiny house or thinking about building a tiny house, you're like so much more capable than you could ever imagine. Like so much more capable.
Anything is possible. You can definitely do it. Sometimes you just have to think outside the box. But when you're thinking of living tiny, you're usually probably already thinking about living outside the box.
If you like this week's episode, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And check back soon because we have new unique home tours publishing all the time. And if you'd like to join our team and get access to members-only content and unique perks, make sure you click on the join button below.